Hello, friends. Continuing with the topic of trust. You can trust me to live up to your trust. And I continue today talking about trust, on how to build and maintain trust. As we said last time, trust or the belief that someone or something can be relied upon to do what they say they will is a key element of both social relationships as well as professional relationships. Okay. And it is the basic foundation of successful collaboration and cooperation. If there is no trust, there can be no valuable collaboration or cooperation. By and large, trust is something that common sense would tell us is an essential part of life and everything that we do. But then, as the adage goes, common sense is least common. And that is particularly true in the case of trust. Trust, unfortunately, especially in today's world, is not a common practice. And that makes things very difficult because you do not know whom to believe and whom not to believe. Okay? You have to understand something. When it comes to trust, you will meet three types of people. One is somebody who will by default trust you and place their trust in you. Okay, unless you do something to break that trust. The second kind of persons are people who will treat you as neutral. They will watch you, they will see what you do, they will hear what you say. And if you are doing what you say and acting accordingly, they will start building that trust. And then the third kind of people are people who will generally not ever trust you. It's not because they don't like you, but it's probably because they've had some experiences in the past which are still lingering on in their mind, which inherently says, don't trust anybody. Okay. And these are the people who are most difficult to convince that you're a trustworthy person. Luckily for us, trust is something that you can create and you can use it to, you can create and you can do things that will help you to create trust in the mind of everybody that you meet and come across. However, I need to warn you, creating trust often is time consuming and requires a lot of effort. In increasing order, in the case of the second kind of people who will watch you, hear you, see what you do, and then trust you, and especially in the case of the third kind of people who by default will not trust you or anybody else for that. Okay. So it's a commitment that you have to make saying that, okay, you are going to be somebody that people can trust in. But then at the same time, let me warn you that trust can be broken in a jiffy. You make one slip, a small slip, and you will go down a few notches. Of course, there are ways to correct it. Be honest, explain to them how that slip happened, make amends, ask forgiveness, and things will be better off. That sliding will be not that severe. But yes, you need to remember this, that trust can be broken very easily. Feeling of trust is a result whenever somebody trusts you. It's not just by chance. So that feeling of trust that you create in people and why people trust you is actually a very focused and concentrated effort. And you need to know the elements that build up trust and make sure that you imbibe them into your personality. And trust trust me, is the single most critical asset that you can create, which will help you to grow and succeed in life, both personally as well as professionally. So, having said this, let us now look at some of the elements that go into building trust. Because at the end of the day, we all have to build trust. I mean, a lot of the elements you are already imbibing, and it may be a repetition or it may be of no interest to you, but let's just go through them all at once so that you are linking everything together when it comes to creating trust. The first thing to do is walk the talk. Talk straight. Don't beat around the bush. Talk straight and do what you say. Okay, that is very important. So if you say something and do something else, that only creates mistrust. And in such situations, even if somebody is trusting you, they will start distrusting you. So saying one thing and doing another is the fastest way to lose trust from anybody you're interacting with. And therefore, always make sure that you are conveying the right message. Make sure you deliver the right message and be amply clear on what you want when you're giving the message. Okay, never beat around the bush and give it in such a way that you mean it. If there are challenges, explain that you understand the challenges, but be sure to convey things with total transparency. And say it, whatever message you are conveying, say it only if you really mean it. If you don't mean it, don't convey it. What is the point? Yes. Be deliberate and intentional. Do not just give out a message for the sake of it. Be deliberate, be intentional, and make sure that you align your behavior with the message that you are sending out. Okay? The next important thing to do for building trust is to keep up your commitments and promises. Live up to them. And I, for one, believe, and I do it, I make a list of the commitments I make to people. And even if I have not given them a target date by which I will do that, I make it a point to put some date which I think is reasonable and fair, and which will still help the person if I do it at that time. More often than not, the commitments that you would make are to help somebody, to make sure that that person is comfortable, whatever the kind of thing is. But make sure that you make a list of the commitments so that you don't forget, and put a date to it. And if possible, just make a calendar, separate calendar for the commitments that you have made. And you have to make sure that you manage all those commitments in a way that is truly you, and deliver on all of those commitments in an honest and faithful manner, with all the sincerity that you can put into that task. Some tasks, some commitments you make may not be livable, no issues, but then explain to the person. And if you're getting delayed in fulfilling a commitment, make sure that you inform that person saying that, okay, I know I've told you this, I'm getting delayed, I've had some challenges. You need not explain the challenges all the time, but if you are in a position to explain, there's nothing like that. Okay, so people will understand this, and they will give you that additional time that you require to fulfill the commitment. But it has to be fulfilled. And if it is not going to be fulfilled for whatever reason, sit down with the person, explain to him, explain your side of things in all honesty, as much as you can divulge. At times you cannot divulge anything or everything. So make sure that you tell the person in all honesty, and if necessary, with the empathy that is required. And people will always understand you, because they know you are still thinking of the commitment and you're still wondering how to fulfill it, but are unable to do so. The next important thing to build trust is to be consistent. No wild mood swings. And therefore we say, don't make commitments when you're drunk, or when you're too happy, or when you're too sad. So no wild commitments, no wild mood swings, and no knee-jerk reactions. That happens very often. You get carried away in the moment and you give a knee-jerk reaction, promising things that you know when you sit back and think about it, it's never going to happen. So no knee-jerk reactions. And what happens when you are consistent is that consistency is a key factor in creating trust. Okay. And once you are consistent, once you are behaving in a simple, real, honest manner, people will know what to expect from you and therefore trust you. And at times they will even come to you with their challenges because they know you can trust you. And always deliver as committed. We just mentioned this. I'm reiterating it because that's a part of your consistency. So deliver as committed. The next important point is be honest and do not misrepresent facts or the truth. Very often we tend to misrepresent or maybe hide out certain parts of a fact, either because it will hurt the person or because it's going to get them demotivated. Don't. Tell them the fact. And then if they are getting hurt, if they are getting demotivated, it is up to you to get them back on level. And this especially happens in professional situations. So convey the news as it is, good or bad. You don't decide what you should tell them. Give them all the facts, okay, in a truthful manner. Do not dilute it, as I said. Hard-hitting, it may sound, but it is a necessary part. Do not withhold information, okay? Be transparent and honest. And as I said, in cases where people are going to hurt or they're going to get demotivated, you be the one to support them, okay? Another important thing which I find so many people indulge in, do not gossip. Often people gossip to show that they know more than the other person. To score brownie points of some kind or the other, I don't know what, okay? So, and gossiping diminishes trust. Because when a person tells you something or when you know something, if they have told it to you, they have told it to you in strict confidence because they trust you. By gossiping and informing others about that, you are losing the trust. Okay, so keep the confidence that people have reposed in you. Don't break that confidence. And do not share any information that you have come to know about till you have verified it to be true. And if it is relevant for the person that you are sharing it with. Okay, to give you an example, supposing I'm working with a client who is a bad paymaster. Okay, I am not going to go out and tell the world that, okay, he's a bad paymaster and spoil his reputation, so to say. Well, it's a fact, but even then I won't do it. But if somebody comes and asks you for a reference, be honest with that person. Because you are otherwise jeopardizing his financial situation. Okay. And the brownie points don't matter in such situations. Trust me. You have better ways of getting brownie points with your colleagues and friends rather than gossiping. Okay. At all times, whenever you have to take a decision, use sound judgment. Okay. Absolutely clear cut. Think about it. Be fair. Be just. And give sound judgment. And when you do this, people will respect your comments. They will respect your ideas and your opinions. To the extent that when they need some help, they will come to you knowing that you will give them an honest opinion or a really great idea that you believe in. Okay, so they will actively look for your support. And that is a sign of trust. That means you have gained their trust. To do this, to use sound judgment and be able to advise people, you need to make sure that you have enough domain knowledge and are keeping yourself updated with that domain knowledge. And you should respond quickly and with efficient and real solutions to the problems that come up. Very important, especially in the professional setting. Do not implicate others, especially your junior team members, for a problem that you have been faced with. Remember, as a leader, you are the one who is responsible, you are the one who is accountable, and you need to accept your faults, accept your failures, and make sure that your team doesn't take the brunt. Because at the end of it, you really are responsible. And I would go to the extent that even if there is a reason, protect your team in such situations and take the hit. Okay. Having said all this, finally, most important is to be a role model. Once you do all the things and follow all the elements that we've just talked of, that we've just covered, you will automatically start becoming a role model. Okay. And act consistently and truthfully. And that you nurture the relationships that you are building. Importantly, keep your ego aside. As I said in the last, this thing, burn your ego. Okay. Always treat everybody with respect. And if you've done a wrong, write it immediately, apologize, own up that you had made a mistake, and then move ahead. And at all times, listen more. Don't just hear, listen more than you speak, and go above and beyond. That is the most critical thing for you to get success. Okay. What happens when there is lack of trust? Why are we talking so much about trust? What really happens when there is lack of trust? It has a negative impact on everything around you, whether it is personal or professional. Relationships decay in the personal, this thing, and may even lead to a breakup. Projects fail when it's in the professional, this thing. Plans fail. You could lose customers. And in general, whether professional or personal, it only leads to unhappiness and despair. Why do you want to invite that? Okay. So what are the challenges in maintaining trust in today's world? The first thing is that there is a severe diminishing of trust in today's world, whether it is in the brands that you buy or work with, whether it's the institutions that you are involved or get involved with, whether it's the politicians, whether it's the people in general, and even the media. There is just distrust everywhere. And we've seen this. And in India, people who are in India have seen it to a great extent over the last few months with the elections going on. Okay. So we do not trust all of these things. So there is a diminishing trust. In fact, with the whole world becoming more of a global village, you need to be able to trust more and create more trusting situations, especially considering that globally you're working and interacting with people of different cultures. Okay. The economy now is a sharing economy. So you can't live without that. Supply chains are global, international. You're going to interact with people of different cultures, every which one of which you have to create trust. Okay. A lot of times collaborations are superficial, but those never last. They may be good for the time being, but they're not good in the long run. And the world is constantly changing. So your parameters of trust, your way of showing and gaining trust have to stay updated to the changing world. Okay. And you're working, as I said, in a multicultural, which is multi-generational and multicultural society. Even across generations, even within India, across generations, trust is different things for different generations. Okay. And if there is no trust, there is no proper understanding and addressing of the strategic initiatives that one takes in a company. Okay. And leadership parameters are changing. So you need to change as a leader how you're going to build trust. To end, trust is a critical component, and all aspects of life whether professional or personal, it is absolutely necessary, and it is one of the most important currencies today. Let trust, I repeat, let trust be the leading trait of your character. If you do this, you're home. I hope this has helped. I hope you can now start addressing and building trust as required. Have a great weekend. We shall connect on Monday. Thank you.